Hey, what's up, Nerd fam? This is your boy Gashawn. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. Today, I want to talk about the upcoming Harry Potter series, specifically the controversy around Snape looking like this. And there is, I think, due criticism for this because the character does not look like what he's described as in the book. Let me just talk about the remake in general, or just, revisiting the same events that happened in the movies. I'm not a fan of that because to me there was nothing wrong with the movies. Was it exactly like the books? No, but it was close enough where you understood it and it was recognizable. I don't know why we're going here again. I don't understand why it's okay to visit the world of Harry Potter, but why aren't we just talking about a different story, maybe before Harry Potter or way after Harry Potter, or something that's happening in a different part of the world? Because we already know that there's different wizarding worlds or wizarding schools around the world. We could tell a different story that's set in the same universe, or just a different part of time. I don't see why we have to revisit this again. So even without the Snape thing, I think this is just a lack of creativity. This is why I did like Fantastic Beasts, at least for trying that. But there's so many different things. And look, there are other shows that are doing it, or other properties that are doing it, like, with Game of Thrones and the entire universe that they're trying to build with that. It makes sense. They're exploring different parts of their lore. It would be kind of weird if they were to remake the entire series all over again, which I know some people want to because of how it ended, but that wouldn't take out the sting of that. So I'd rather them, do something about the North, and obviously they're doing something about the first Targaryens that came, and just to get right Iron and Fire and Blood, pardon me, but whatever, that's a whole different thing. When it comes to Snape being cast this way, he does not look like this in the books. We know this. A lot of people are like, oh, well, we want black characters. Okay. So why not create a brand new character in a brand new story that is set in the Harry Potter world? Even if it's not even in Britain, it could be in America. It could be someplace else. Because that's okay. Hell, it could still be Hogwarts, but it could just be a new generation of people. Why do you need to take a character who you know is not described as that to make it that? Here's why. You don't even want to have an original character. You only see value in the ones that are already established. You just don't know how to say that. But I just said it for you. Because that's really the biggest problem that we have. It's not only in stuff like Harry Potter. I've made videos about this when it comes to comics. We see this a lot when it comes to comic book movies and other properties, whereas there's a ton of original characters that already exist. So that's why it's an even bigger problem, because they already have it. In this, you can just create them. But not only are you lazy for cheering on a race swap, the people who are doing this are also lazy because they could put in a whole bunch of work that can create a new character with its own fan base, and it could be organic. But they're not doing it. Hell, let's take it a step further. Wizards don't only have to exist in a Harry Potter world. There could be an entirely different franchise that has a diverse cast with people from all over, and it has magic in its own specific lore of characters. That can happen too. Why not? But for some reason, they're like, no, we have to do this, and we have to make them look like this because it's got to be diverse. And it's like, listen, I have no problem with diversity, but do you understand that this character specifically is described to look a different way? That's not racism. It'd be racism if a person was like, I don't understand why there's any black people in here. Just saying it and then trying to say it's because they're inferior. We get it. That we understand what racism actually is. But it's okay to point out that the character wasn't made to look that way. And a lot of people will point out, well, you know what? Well, the creator is okay with it. Okay. That doesn't mean that more than one thing can't be true. She can be all right with it, and we know what she want the character to look like. She's not the first person to do that. Neil Gaiman did this for Sandman. He did it for Death. He's like, oh yeah, I have no problem with Death being like this. But then in the book, he made Death look like a makeup artist that he knew, which didn't look like the person who played it in the actual show in Netflix. So yeah, sometimes the creators can also be hypocrites when it comes to that. So to point to that isn't necessarily a good thing either. It's just we get a lot of this lazy stuff versus creativity. Look at Lord of the Rings, right? I'm not saying Rings of Power is an amazing show. It's not. But they have the right idea, whereas instead of telling the Fellowship of the Ring over again, we could just choose a different part of the lore, because they've got thousands of years of lore, and explore that and make a show. Is the execution very good? No. But that's a really good idea. I don't understand why that can't happen here as well. You get new characters, a universe you love, maybe even a new villain. Star Wars has this issue too, because, well, they had it because, remember, everything had to be related to a Skywalker. They can branch out and do other things too. You can still have Jedis and all the cool aliens, but just do a new cast of characters, which some of the series have attempted, but once again, it's not about the what, sometimes it's about the how, and the execution hasn't been good for that either. But at the very least, you can say they tried to create new characters, even if they were heavy-handed with some of the social messaging that they were trying to put into it, right? But yeah, that's really my basic thing. Don't be disingenuous about why this character doesn't make sense to look like this, and why people are in an uproar about it, and just try to put the racism, they don't want to see anyone black in it, versus if this was a whole new series that was in there, I don't think people would have this kind of issue. I've heard we have to make this, like, whatever story better for modern audiences, for the audiences watching it now. I'm like, do we really have to do that? Because there's plenty of things that I watched that are from the 80s or the 70s, and I'm like, I don't need them to remake it for me now, because I can understand that this was made at this time. So why do we have to do that? Like, are we not able to compartmentalize? And it looks like people are just lazy in that regard. But whatever. Let me know what you think. Enter the nerd.